Hello everybody and welcome to season 2 of the Starseed Hub Podcast. We're on episode 1 today, and as you can see, there's quite a few new faces that have joined me for this amazing season. It is going to be an epic season of content and information. We've decided to bring in guests every episode that kind of are representative of the content and information that is coming out of the Sydney Energy Healing Hub. It's just been incredible, you guys, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to introduce everybody so you know who's here today, so you know who we're listening to, and the wealth of information we've brought into this episode. So we'll start with Kenny. Kenny's going to be joining me and hosting these podcasts with me for this season.
Hi everyone, nice to be back. Get started on 2025 with some amped up podcasts.
Absolutely.
From last year.
So
sure.
Kenny and I co-own the Sydney Energy Healing Hub. So we both work here. We're living and breathing it every day.
Yep. And yeah, we've got really cool content to share. We're taking it to the next level.
Absolutely. I think we're going to ruffle a few feathers this season, guys. Hopefully in a positive way. And so then we've got Marie. Some of you might find Marie familiar. Marie, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm the familiar face behind the phones and reception. I work here with Ken and Suzy and everyone at the hub.
Marie's the hostess with the mostest, looking after everybody here. And then we have Pat over here to my left.
Hi guys, I am a person here that's co-created this place with Kenny and Suzy in the immersion room, and I'm a facilitator, meditation teacher, and super excited about today's episode.
Awesome, thank you, Pat. And then, lastly but not leastly, Marnie.
Hello, I'm Marnie, the resident QHHT practitioner here on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Do you want to tell everybody what QHHT is? I get that asked that all the time.
Yeah, it's quantum healing hypnosis technique, and it's a amazing technique developed by Dolores Cannon, which essentially uses past life regression as a form of healing.
Beautiful. And I guess that's why we're kind of all here today. I myself am an Akashic Records reader, and so I get snippets of beautiful information from everybody's, subconscious past lives. And then when I see something amazing, which I think my client really needs to see for themselves, I send them over to Marnie, and Marnie regresses them, and then they bring up this information from their content in great detail from their subconscious, and they get some amazing healing. But also we've uncovered a lot of really incredible truths and wisdoms, haven't we? And I think that's why we brought this group in particular together today. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Kenny?
Well, this group that you see here is really assembled over the last year, and we've all found that we have common timelines, past timelines, and it's just funny that we've found each other in this timeline, and we're all on the same mission, and that has been uncovered through each of our own individual QHHT sessions. But then in between those sessions, we have extra information that comes through, fills in the gaps, and we start piecing the puzzles together. And yeah, we've worked together many times before, and we're here now to
do it again.
do an improved version of previous times. So yeah, and we're going to share some of that with you today.
So between the group of us, we've unearthed a timeline over 2,000 years ago that most people are aware of, when Jesus of Nazareth walked the earth. So we have information that we are now going to share with you guys and the collective, and that also Marnie is putting into a book. Correct, Marnie?
Yes.
As a part of a kind of a larger picture over, ascension and awakening and origins of our earth.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So we might start with you, Pat. But before I get to Pat, Marnie, you have had a very interesting last few months. There was a particular week where, as a practitioner, and especially someone who does not affiliate themselves as religious, you regressed about 3 different clients back to the scene of the crucifixion.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Tell me, explain to me how that went down for you.
Oh, well, in total, it was about 6.
Wow.
But it was 4 consecutive sessions over a couple of weeks. And it was actually quite funny because when it happened with Marie, I recognised the scene before she did because I was getting quite familiar with it. So I'm like, I know where we are. But I guess as someone who isn't Christian, I went to a Christian school and was actually turned off Christianity. Hearing things like gays go to hell and things like that didn't resonate with me, and I decided that it wasn't for me. So I've been really fortunate that as I have listened to all of your regressions, that I've been able to see Jesus without that man-made judgment and just sort of who he was. And it's made me realise that he's not a religion, he's a spiritual teacher. And and I feel incredibly honoured to have been able to get a front seat view to one of humanity's most amazing story, significant historical event from multiple perspectives, because everyone has had their own perspective as they've regressed through it. So it's been phenomenal.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3 here today that regressed back to the scene of the crucifixion. We'll start with Pat. I had an Akashic reading with Pat first, and it came up in his Akashic records that, I basically saw Pat carrying Jesus and with a cross on his back and kind of
I felt it absolutely changed me. And the lesson there, I felt like I think I was seeking was to honour this man and help him complete his mission. Knowing as well there's many things happen around Jesus at that time. And to be an example of a true disciple that can help him spread his message, what he represented for humanity. And it was such an honour, and I definitely was just full of emotion going through those memories in the session, and it was just mind-blowing.
I'm going to admit that I wasn't surprised that you were Simon of Cyrene in a past life, Patrick, because I'd known Patrick for quite a few months before we found out this information. And Pat's he's had a history as a mental health nurse. He's just one of those beautiful souls that is always there for others. Always there for others who are struggling in any way. He literally has carried a cross for us at some stage, right? I can vouch for that. You can vouch for that. He's a beautiful soul, and so it was not surprising to me at all. So I'm just proud that you guys are in my field. Really proud. That's amazing, Pat. So, right, Marie. Marie, you came up in one of my regression sessions. So I was actually having QHHT with Marnie at the time, and unbeknown to me, now Marie at that stage had been working with me for, oh my goodness, at least a year, right? And I was in a session getting information for myself and having some healing with Marnie, and I brought up that Marnie has to go regress Marie because she was Veronica in the timeline of Yeshua. And that was unbeknown to me. I hadn't seen it in her Akashic records, and we've done plenty of sessions together.
Yeah.
I just think the timing must have been right.
Yeah.
Correct?
That's how it works.
When
the
the
time for you to know the information.
it will appear.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even how it came out, because it surprised me on several fronts. I had gone to Marnie with questions about Egypt.
Yeah.
I had all my questions. There had been a sequence of events 2 weeks maybe before that regression that was all about Egypt. So I went in there rearing to go on Egypt.
Right.
And then there was just this complete naivety and ignorance of where I was. The story starts unfolding, and in my mind I'm going, this is Egypt, this is Egypt. I'm in the marketplace, I'm expecting pharaohs and slaves to come down. And it was only at the point that I saw the cross, like you had realized it was crucifixion day before I did. It was only when I saw the cross, which is halfway through the story, and I was like, oh, it's crucifixion. It's not Egypt, you know. So the timing, like that really reiterates the timing that whatever needs to come out, comes out.
It
You
comes
can't.
out. It's
you
like
can't
our
force it.
higher selves are collaborating and saying, nah, we're talking about
Like
this
this.
timeline now,
Yeah.
and it's going to come out. Go and ask her. Go and ask
Yeah.
him. And out comes the info.
Yeah.
It's incredible, absolutely incredible how that happens. Can we just put on a little bit of a snippet of your QHHT, Mari, and just let the audience listen to that raw emotion live, and then, we'll discuss what's happening after. So just put that on.
While Suzy's doing that, I'll just say it's to be able to remember your past lives. It's very healing because it gives you context to the present life that you're in, and helps you make sense and meaning of your direction. And I guess the more you understand about history, your soul's history, the more you can put that into practice and gather the wisdom of those lifetimes and implement them in this lifetime.
Yeah.
So, and you'll see as it unfolds some of the wisdom that we've collected shortly.
Unbelievable. All right, guys, pressing play.
Where's the screaming coming from?
Painful screaming and hammering. Being nailed.
Have you ever seen this happen before?
No, but I know it's happened before.
But just not here.
I haven't followed it. No one wants to see this. At my place in the bed today, I wasn't here.
And did you manage to give some water to someone?
There's a man being laid on the cross, being hammered. They roping, tying his arms, his upper arms to the cross first so that he doesn't move.
Mm-hmm.
And holding, breaking his fingers. Tearing, breaking on his fingers. Bending them backwards, and he's screaming. But he's further away from me, he's not near me.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the distance. The other man. The man whose knee was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He knows he's next. He's so weak. They've taken the cross off him. He's on his knees. I see the pain in his eyes. I see the telling below. He has blood on his face.
Is this the one that's related to the lady that you comforted?
The officials, the soldiers, are preoccupied with the other man that's been hammered to the cross.
Mm-hmm.
And keeping the crowds back. I take that moment to place my pitcher of water down, stick my cup in it, run over to him and offer it to him.
Is he lucid enough to know what you were doing?
His face was just... He's in physical pain, but he's in a state of just resolving the
getting into the process. Mm-hmm. Does he take the water? He stares at me for a few seconds and I put the cup by his mouth. But I don't think he even has the strength to drink. I don't know if he's taken any in. Then I grab my headscarf and I wipe his face, get the dust off his face. His face is covered in scratches and cuts. Wiping away the dust on his face is painful for him. And then an official pushes me and I fall back.
Wow.
That's heavy. That was a lot of emotion.
Oh my gosh, that's the second time I've heard that. I forgot how descriptive that was. Yeah, very emotional.
It's very powerful.
Extremely powerful. That's the first time you've heard that.
Yeah, lots of emotion. It was beautiful because it brought out so much of humanity to go and serve him and to clean his face, and that was a beautiful moment, even though it was such a big event. To be part of that, very beautiful.
For me, there was the other element of surprise there because I grew up very Catholic, so obviously I'm very familiar with the story. And my parents were very Catholic, so we used to do Stations of the Cross reenactment. Every year my dad used to carry the cross, and so I knew the story very well. And I remember as a child looking at the pictures, and you paint an image in your head of how it went, and that's not what came out in the story. Because there's this picture of a cloth with imprinted face, and it wasn't. It was just my headscarf. I don't think I even knew who he was. I just wanted to help him.
That's what I was going to say. When you're under regression, you don't even mention his name. You keep referring to him as this man, this man. So it was clear that you didn't know who he was at that time.
I just lived in that village, and I knew he was part of a group of kind people. But I didn't know him enough to, to label him or know the story or anything. And then to see the detail, again, you paint an image in your head based on what the biblical stories, Veronica's not even in the Bible, the story. It's part of Catholicism, but she's not, that whole story of the face thing is not in the Bible. I don't know how that's carried through to Catholicism.
Right.
But they depict it in a very different way to what I saw. And even the detail, the story is always told with 3 crosses, and I saw several, and it was like that's just how they dealt with criminals on a regular basis.
Right.
Yeah, it was a life-changing experience.
I want to ask you is, what compelled you to serve this man? Help him?
I think anybody seeing another human being suffering in that way, it would pull at your heartstrings. And I think hearing the story historically and seeing the detail in person and just seeing another human being going through that kind of pain, anyone would want to stop it or help.
It's so in your nature, Marie, though, because you work with us daily here. We have people that come in here with cancer, with awful things going on in their lives. And I've seen Marie, she literally hands them water, by the way.
Oh, that's true.
What I found really, not funny, but the parallel instantly was like, my God, she was serving, Jesus water in that lifetime. Now she's serving the sick in this lifetime. What's going on here? And she is the one that gives people water here that are sick and suffering, and love and nurture and care. So for me, again, I was amazed, but not surprised that it was Marie.
Absolutely.
Right.
And also, she's very fights for justice.
Yes.
When things aren't right, that's something about you, and that's a parallel to that lifetime, to this lifetime. And again, that's how you can kind of make sense of why your certain tendencies show up like this and what the historical significance of them.
It's like a core trait and a core value, who you are.
I think I did say that at the end, that was the lesson, was to just be true to yourself and listen to your heart. And I think I said that, right?
Yeah, compassion.
Yeah.
Showing compassion.
And you do that with your actions every day.
That's true.
So
that is so true.
we love you.
Yes. I'm so lucky to have her here. So Kenny, I remember you were using, in the midst of everyone getting regressed and people having Akashic sessions with me too, you were using the E system one day and you were meditating. Do you remember this?
Yep, of course.
And I happened to cross you in the hallway, in the corridor as you were coming out, and you were visibly emotional. And I said, oh my goodness, what's wrong, Kenny? You okay? And you said that you were seeing flashes of scenes of the crucifixion as if you were actually there. And it was really heavy for you. All this emotion was coming up. So then I thought, oh my goodness, do we have another one? We've got another one, maybe. Let's have a look. So I opened up these Akashic records. Do you remember that night?
Oh,
yeah.
God, yeah.
I opened up his Akashic records and I saw you drinking wine with Jesus, laughing, and I heard him calling you Nathaniel. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember exactly where we were when you did that. And that happened, and then I went into the hub.
Did it?
Because I was curious.
Right.
I was fascinated that Suzy she was having a conversation. Was that the time you had the
With
conversation?
Gary?
No, Jesus.
Oh.
In the living room, and he came through and he poured the oil on you.
Oh, okay. Yes, well, that's a big story in itself.
I was fascinated that Suzy could have a conversation with him then and there, and because he came through in our living room while she did that Akashic reading, and I was like yearning. I've been yearning my whole life. I've been yearning for him and wishing he was with me, going through life. It's always been there from as long as I can remember. And Suzy said, you can access this yourself. So I went in the 24-unit room one day with that intention to access the past timeline myself. And I didn't think I could do it, but I went and did it. And I did. I saw scenes from the crucifixion. I remember it very clearly. I was incredibly overwhelmed with emotion. I could feel his suffering. I could see his suffering. And I was feeling that suffering in the visions that I was having through my third eye and in the physical.
Oh my goodness.
And tears were coming out of my eyes, and it was crazy. And then that's when we decided to have a QHHT. And I only do my QHHT sessions when I feel a strong yearning that there's something waiting for me to unlock. So I wait, and then I get this pull that says it's time to go. There's something here for you. Yeah. And I just go with it. And so then we did my session with Marnie, and it was,
Can I play a little bit?
Yeah, I have no idea what you're going to play, but let's see.
From that session, let's hear what Kenny.
So there's a lot of sadness and anger.
And anger. More coming from the crowd. It's lovely. It's like actually this. People that are angry. This is being done. And then there are those that are angry. That's blasphemy.
And you can see Yeshua from where you are now.
Yes.
Describe that in more detail.
He knows where we are. The crowd. We're holding hands. There's four of us.
Who are they?
James. Andrew. Peter. But there's more. We're spread out in groups of four.
Why in groups of four?
They're doing something with the energy.
Tell me more.
There's 3 groups of 4 spread out in key locations creating a grid. Why'd you stop it there for?
There's another one. There's another one. Don't you worry. But I thought we would discuss that. That's your session went on for ages, and like Marie had a lot of detail.
Very detailed.
This was just a small snippet, but it's going to feature in your book at some stage.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. And you mentioned an energy grid, or groups of 4 creating an energy grid around. You said you used the name Yeshua. So Yeshua in Hebrew is Jesus in English, so for those that are not aware. Do you want to explain to us what you saw and what you were trying to do?
Yeah, again, strong Catholic upbringing. We get told the story of how things went down, and that was just this crucifixion and punishment. But he knew this was going to happen. He knew well before that this was going to happen. He came here with a very specific mission. It was to bring this new message of love, to change the old ways. And he tried teaching, and people understood concepts, bits and pieces, but they weren't ready for the information he had.
Right.
So his backup mission was to pretty much download this energetic template of love into the Earth's grid.
In the energy grids, in the Earth, the Earth grids. Right.
And that was his main mission. So he knew this was coming in. This was a big event, and we knew what was happening.
Right.
Okay. We knew this was weird. We talked about this beforehand, so we knew exactly where to go. We were in groups, and we were forming this energetic triangle around him. There was 2 triangles in front and 1 behind, and we were hidden. We were wearing cloaks. We were Essenes.
Wow. So Essenes, from the Essene community, the Jewish sect.
That's another story, but we were secret. We did not wish to be seen, or our knowledge was not, it was not safe to share this information. Right. So we were in the shadows. We were not very out. We weren't showing off or anything. It was very secretive.
Right.
And so we had a very specific mission, and we were to hold key energetic points surrounding him to form this grid, and he was in the center of the grid. And while he was on that cross, he was channeling all the energy of all existence. He was communicating with it, and it was coming in. And as it came in, I don't know what you were planning on showing next, but basically that whole time we were holding space and holding this grid. The energy was coming in, and that's when the eclipse was all timed perfectly with the eclipse. The location of where he was was a very important ley line, and this energy was channeling up, and at the moment before he left, sent the energy straight down
into the ley line,
through the grid. And it was like putting a USB. It was like energetic blueprint of love. It was a new age of love being installed into the Earth, which would allow this template to start to unfold, so that over time, which the time is now. Yeah. The time for this information to be shared and for this message to be continued and the wisdom to come out that he taught is now, and it's happening all over the place. Yeah. That was the beginning of it. Yeah. And they weren't ready then, and the world is ready now for this message. So that's what was happening. And then before he left, he was telepathically communicating with us. Wow. And I guess it was almost like a channeling. In the session, Marnie was... I was sharing what he was telling us. It was a very beautiful message. I don't know if you have that here. Maybe
I don't. It's in the book.
It's in the book?
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Incredible. So you brought up some really key points, and thankfully you did, because these key points now come up in my regression. Because I had questions. You guys are all like, why are all these people coming to you, Suzy, and you're finding out all this information, right? So I went and did my own QHHT with Linda, who also works at the centre. She's a QHHT practitioner. And this is a very key question that we asked is, what are we to do with this information? I feel like there's this big responsibility on our shoulders. Why has it come through? What's the point? So this is what came of that session that I had with Linda.
Yeshua had to come here, and he had to receive a very large amount of energy, and to reactivate our ascension process. Reactivate the ascension and the grids. The grids are come online, you know. It's like you had to flip the on switch again. Is what it's like. It was like the switch. And then everything that happens after that just amplifies.
And did he manage to flick that switch?
He did. He's amazing. He knows what he's doing. He knows what to do. Those of the Bible they've got it all wrong, and they thought the healings and the preachings, and that was why he was here. It's not why he was here. He just happened to be a very high vibrational soul, and he was here on a mission, and not to create a religion. He was here to bring in this energy that was needed to receive, so he could flip the switch and put Earth back onto the right trajectory again. And everyone's like, oh, let's see. That's what they remember, and that's not what. And there's the whole thing about the energy on the day of the crucifixion when the sky went dark because it was a solar eclipse, and it's because it had to be the right time, and we coordinated it so that he'd be at the crucifixion at the right time because we needed the energy of the eclipse to amplify what he was trying to pull off.
So basically my perspective was off the ground. So I was viewing a lifetime in a spaceship that was positioned above Earth, trying to help on the day of the crucifixion. So that was my perspective. So you guys all had perspectives on the ground. Mine came from space, which is pretty awesome because both of the information that came from above and below matches up. It's incredible. Yeah. Absolutely incredible. And so Linda then asks, why Suzy? Why has Suzy received all these people? I think I've got that here, maybe. Oh, no, that's Marie's. Oops, maybe not. Oh, yes, I do.
Why has Suzy had so many clients come to her recently who are remembering lives with him at that time? And what is she to do with the information she's receiving? Why is that happening?
They feel that code, his code, the same energy through her, and they're recognizing it, and then coming to her, and it's like they're coming home. And coming home because she's anchored into the hub energy, and they're coming back to source. It's what they know. And they've been with Yeshua. They know what that feels like. They recognize it. Anyone that has had a lifetime with him, they recognize it, and they will come to the center and come to the hub because they've got more work to do. They're just warriors. They're just soldiers, just like us. And they know it's home base.
So that was a shock. That was a lot to take in.
Yeah, basically, I think it might have been one of the Starseed circles we've done where when Suzy opened up the high vibrational field and he came through, people are assembling all over the planet right now.
Yeah.
Doing this work.
Yeah.
And in one of my QHHT sessions, it came through that there's going to be many people coming to the surface to continue the work that was done in that lifetime. Because Yeshua said himself, this is my favorite quote, "You can perform even greater wonders than I."
Yeah.
This is critical. What he done and taught was not so that we could worship and think you're separate from us, you are a god, we are not, we are low and unworthy to receive you, etc. No, he wanted to teach us how to be like him, and he was able to successfully do that to certain members of the Essene community that he was close with in that timeline. And now anyone that has any of these soul memories is coming to the surface now, and it's you'll see in the next 3 to 5 years. I'm very optimistic about the future. It's the right time, and people will hear this message of love.
And Marnie, you've had other people other than us bring up Yeshua in their memories.
Yeah, so I actually wrote it down because I thought I'd share a quote that came through from someone's higher self. Beautiful. And it's just so powerful. So Jesus is with us now. He's not coming back in a reincarnation. It is the Christ consciousness in us that is the second coming. The important message to be transmitted through history, through time, is this: do not fear. You are love. You are part of Source, and everything you experience is a part of collective evolution.
Wow.
That's why I love what I do.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
God, words of
Powerful,
wisdom.
isn't it? Yeah,
Powerful
love it.
words of wisdom. Oh,
Yeah.
incredible stuff. Okay.
What else you got for us?
I think that's a wrap, unless anyone wants to digress and discuss anything or ask anything of anyone further. So I guess what we're seeing is a re-emergence of wisdom, higher consciousness that's coming into the earth now, because maybe 2,000 years ago seeds were planted, and now maybe over time they've been nourished and nurtured, and they're bearing fruit, so to say. In this lifetime, as people remember more, activate more, ask more questions, and are ready for the truth, a greater truth that opens up higher levels of consciousness.
And I also
that the
think,
impression you're getting.
yeah, and I think there's almost a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
Because we're at a time, when you look back at Atlantis and the cataclysm that happened there, toxic patriarchy, power, greed, all that stuff, and we're at this point now where we can kind of go either way, and we don't want to go the way of the Atlanteans. So all of this knowledge and stuff is important to know now, so that we don't go that way, and we ascend.
Yeah, destroying ourselves. So it is very
absolutely. I
important
think it's very important
for our ascension.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, everybody. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, so when I was listening to Ken's snippet, it made me think like the authenticity of the QHHTs, because the cross-referencing. So I hadn't heard his, I hadn't heard yours, and the detail where it was cross-referencing, like he featured in mine. I had no idea he was Ken. I had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to touch on the authenticity of the QHHTs because of the cross-referencing that happened with mine, where I hadn't listened to Ken's QHHT, yours, anyone's, but Ken featured in mine, and I had no idea.
As Nathaniel.
Well, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I kept seeing this man, and even when you reference the Essenes, I didn't know anything about the Essenes, but I knew in my story that these men were different because they were meeting at the place that I worked. And they were just different to the average public, the way they were with me, the way they were with each other. So that's my recognition of Jesus then, was he was just part of this kind man group. I didn't know anything more. And Ken, I didn't know it was Ken. I didn't know he was Nathaniel. I didn't name him. Right at the end when we spoke to my higher self, and Marnie asked, does he feature in your current life? And I said, yes, Ken. That's when. So I saw when I was listening to Ken's snippet now about the grid work and the triangles, I saw that where they were walking in amongst the crowd and they were nodding to each other, like signaling, like they were on a mission. Like,
oh wow!
There was some agenda, some plan. He knew this man there, and I knew these men from coming to the bar.
Right, where you.
So I saw him nodding to that man, like we're on track. This is where we got to go, or whatever. I saw the signals, you know.
Right. Wow.
The way you described me at the end of my lifetime, because you were there as I
aged,
and nearly as I was close to leaving. It was exactly as you were describing it. I listened to your one. It was exactly how I visualized myself in my one. So it was precise. We're tapping into the same exact information at the same time, and that adds to the authenticity, because sometimes I think like that. So.
Yeah, and then the extra validation is when you read books. So there's a Dolores Cannon book about Suzy, and then there's a book by Joanna Prentice and Stuart Wilson called The Essenes, Children of the Light.
Right.
And even in other books, you'll see things referenced that tee up perfectly with what comes through in your sessions. And I know, Ken, you've never read any of those books. Not sure about you, but it's just amazing how it lines up.
It all aligns. Amazing.
Yeah.
So the information is meant to come through, and it's coming through various sources, which is
Absolutely.
incredible.
Yeah.
And what I found really cool is that when Ken was in that particular regression as Nathaniel, he talked about Simon, so Pat, picking up the cross, and he actually said under hypnosis, I know that guy, he's one of us. So that pins a connection between Pat as Simon to Nathaniel, Kenny as Nathaniel. So cool. Yeah, awesome. All right, guys, we're going to wrap things up, but we will be doing these regularly. We're going to have a variety of guests and a variety of topics. We will continue. So I'll keep you guys on the edge of your seats, so stay tuned. We're aiming for fortnightly. Thank you so much for listening, and any questions, feel free to hit us up on social media. We're more than happy to answer questions in our next podcast for you guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.